Hi, my name is Daniel Miyamoto, and I go to Carnegie Mellon, Silicon Valley, and this is my video for the Android development class, smartphone development class. Basically, my application is also running on the Droid, but because of the glass screen, on all the glare on the screen, I'm just going to run the application and demo it on the emulator. And it works just as good on the emulator as it does on the Droid, so there's really no benefit in me running it on the actual Droid and just running an emulator. So for my application, I chose to kind of build an application called Careport, and Careport ultimately will let you look into the history of your car and its health and kind of its status. One of the key ingredients to doing that is having access to the ODB2 port. Cars since 1996 have used this standard called ODB2, and there's a couple devices that actually read ODB2. There's things like this COB access port, and this is more of a performance-oriented device. It lets you read access codes and access the engine ECU and even remap fuel maps. This device is about $200. This device is also about $200. This is just a standard ODB2 code reader, used mostly just to get diagnostic codes. So if your car has a check engine light on, and let's say the throttle position sensor is going bad, just like on one of my cars outside in my garage right now actually, this device will let you read that code and reset that code once you fix the problem, such as replacing the throttle position sensor. But basically, for this project, I wanted to interface with ODB2 and Android. Since you already have this computer in your pocket and it's always with you, it'd be really cool if I could use the display to display various gauges from the ECU on the Android screen. And so what I did is I went and I bought this device for $50. It's really cheap actually. It's an Elm ODB2 device reader that interfaces over Bluetooth, and this should allow me to access the ODB2 stack from Bluetooth over Bluetooth on the Android device. Unfortunately, I ordered this device about a month ago and it's still back ordered and it hasn't come in yet. So someday I'll actually get this device and be able to work with the Android phone. In the meantime though, I was able to find somebody who's written an Elm ODB2 simulator, and with that, I'm able to actually interface. The emulator's built off of a POSIX platform, so I built it on Linux. And so here it is running from this command line. And it actually starts up a FLTK GUI. So here's the FLTK GUI for the for the ODB2 simulator. And so as you can see, it simulates engine RPM, throttle position, engine temp, mass airflow, vehicle speed, and DTCs. And I believe DTCs are the trouble codes for when the car is having issues. So basically, I'm taking this, which simulates over a serial port, because most most ODB2 devices are over serial, and I'm piping it with SOCAT over Linux so that I can see it on my Windows box and actually interface it in Android. And so, as you can see here, I can set, RPM, throttle position, and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and set some values here. And we can go over here and see that those values are being picked up on the emulator. Basically, we can get the engine RPM, mass airflow, and speed, and from that I'm calculating the instantaneous miles per gallon. So if I change any of these values, you can see the values are updating here. The only other thing, and so the way that works is ODB2 uses these, what do they call it? PID codes, and so I'm sending PID codes from Android. Basically, I'm sending a 0110 to get the mass airflow sensor. 0110 to get the mass airflow rate, and I'm using that to calculate real-time miles per gallon. So basically, I'm sending these codes over and I'm receiving them and parsing the data and coming up with these values here. Ultimately, I'd like to be able to display graphs and log this data. But right now, all I was able to get to is just to be able to display the data on the emulator. I also wrote an application kind of as a preliminary to do that, which basically just logs gas mileage for you. And so when you go get a fill-up, you can put in how many miles the odometer was, how much money you spent on gas, and the date. And if we go inside here, basically you just put the odometer, how much gas how much gas you put in, and then from there it'll calculate the total cost and your miles per gallon for that fill-up. And this is all stored in the SQLite database. And ultimately, if I were using this application, I'd actually be interested in both values, both interfacing with ODB2 and kind of a fuel log of what the types of gas mileage I've been getting. And so this is stored in a SQLite database, and ultimately, like I said, I'd like to be able to store the live miles per gallon data inside a SQLite database so that you can chart the graphs and possibly put it like on Google Earth and do some analysis. But that's not there yet. So again, this is my Android project, and what I'm doing is I'm popping over CAN ODB2 data into the Android phone for use in displaying graphs and logging data. Thanks a lot.